Hey, hi, good afternoon. Hi, good afternoon. Am I audible? Can you just tell me in the chat window, am I audible? There was some problem with my mic yesterday. Okay, thank you. I'm waiting for people to join in. People are still joining in. Just give me 2, 3 more minutes before we start. We'll have the session tomorrow, Hari. Okay, so let's start. Yesterday we started with yesterday we were working with inheritance, right? Hey, hi Rohit. Okay. Yesterday we started with inheritance, so I guess the program we completed was still here, right? I have shown you what are the super classes. So what is that one super class for every class? Like if you do not even make it a super class, it will be super class for all. What is that class? That class is called as what? If you start tracking lineage back to any class, how will you go and check it out there? Yeah, what is that one class we were talking about yesterday, which is super class for all the classes? Yeah, it is called as what? Java.lang.object, right? You remember this discussion we did yesterday? So java.lang is basically a package. Inside that package, there is a class called as object. So consider Java is a folder, lang is another folder. So it is called as an alpha class. Why? Because it is super class for all, but subclass for none. Yeah, it is subclass for none, and it provide with the us with the methods. Yeah, it provide us with the methods. Whatever methods are available with us, they will be available. Like they provide with some of the important methods for us, and this is also considered to be what Adam of Java. Yeah, why? Because it is like I try to connect it with the real time scenario. Are you understanding this? Are you understanding this, everyone? Now, on that note, I had there are rules which I have not done in here. I will explain that rules on the other sheet. Okay. Now this is what we call as thumb rule one of inheritance. Yeah, this is what we call as thumb rule one of inheritance. And this is a very important rule. Do you think so? Constructor and inheritance are connected with each other anyhow? This is very interesting as well. Huh? Like it will solve a lot of problem. Like I know you're not facing those problems, but in near future when you start getting into Java much more, this will give you a brief understanding about how it works. So now you tell me, I have got connection between constructor and inheritance. Okay, what does that say? First, tell me what are the type of constructors? How many types of constructors are there? How many types of constructors are there? You remember? Yes, perfect, Sanchit. There are two types of constructor. One is what? Default. Other is what? Parameterized. Perfect. So whenever any subclass constructor is invoked, it by default invokes the default constructor of its superclass. unless except parameterized constructor is explicitly invoked. Okay. The idea is what? Whenever any subclass constructor is invoked, see, whenever any subclass constructor is invoked, okay, what it will do, it will call the default constructor, it invokes the default constructor of its superclass. Yeah? It will invoke the default constructor of its superclass. So whenever any subclass constructor is invoked, it will by default invoke the default constructor of its superclass. Now this is not something I've made up. This is a rule, which will. If what do you want to scroll, Rohit? You can understand. Okay, let's wait for a minute. Everyone can catch up. Is it same for everyone? Is it buffering for everyone? But it might be YouTube issue or your internet issue actually. Can you try to refresh once? Refresh the screen. No worries. Okay. Now consider this is my rule. Yeah, this is my rule. Now in this rule, what does the rule say? Whenever any subclass constructor is invoked, it by default invokes the default constructor of its superclass. So here, consider there are three classes: A, B, C. Okay, C is subclass of B. I'll take a new page and explain it to you there much better. So here, consider I have class A. Class A have variable x whose value is 10. Class B, okay, class B now. But the thing is, this value of 10 is not assigned yet. Then I have got class B having value of y, class C having value of z, class C extends B, B extends A. Whom does A extends to? If this is my cycle, who does A extends to now? A is extending where? Anyone? Like where does A extends to now? Java.lang.object. Perfect. So now you tell me what we are doing here is we are doing C. C is equal to new C, right? And after I do this, yeah, and if I say C dot X, C dot Y, C dot Z, and I will get the value of let's say 10, 20, 30. This will happen, right? Yeah, this will happen already, right? That you will be able to print these values. You will be able to print these values. Because as per the rule of inheritance, all the data from superclass comes down to the subclass. Yeah? As per the rule of inheritance, all the data from superclass comes down to subclass. But who is invoking and getting B started? Who is getting A started? We need to understand that as well. So for that reason, what I'll do is in my inheritance, I will create another folder. Let me call it as thumb rule 1. Under the thumb rule 1, I start, let's say, a.java. A.java have int x is equal to 10, Yeah, int x is equal to 10. And another method, let's say public void m1 system.out.println a dash m1. Okay, then I will have another file b.java where I have, let's say, int y is equal to 20, method m2, and this is b dash m2. And then I have another file called as c.java. In my c.java I have variable z is equal to 30, method m3, and here I have got c dash m3. Okay, simple. Created three class. Now let's connect them with inheritance. So class B wants to extend what? Extends A. Okay, and class C extends B. So I've created a multi-level inheritance. C extends B, B extends A, right? And now if I say I want to create a runner file, and here if I say cc is equal to new c and do system.out.println c.x c.y c.z, this is perfectly fine. And if I try to run this now, java c runner.java, if I run this, see, it is giving me 10, 20, 30. Correct? It is giving me 10, 20, 30. But is that correct? But yeah, why? Because x is coming from a. Because c is subclass of a, I am getting this. Y is subclass of y is also the superclass for c. So I'm getting this value from there. And z was coming from my own class. But my question is, who is calling? Who is see for a and b to give me the value? Don't you think so? They have to be available in the memory. Don't you think so? They have to be available in the memory. My question is, I am accessing the values from x a and b, right? When I'm creating the object of c, but no one invoked. Did anyone invoke that a and b? See, my question is, I am calling the object of c, right? I'm calling the object of c, but I'm accessing the value from a and b. Don't you think so? The classes a and b have to be available in the memory when if I need to access their values. If I need to access their values, and how is that happening? So for that time, what is happening? The rule, as per the rule, if I do not provide a constructor, do I get a free constructor? If I do not provide a constructor, do I get a free constructor? Yes, no. If I do not provide a constructor, do I get a free constructor? Yes, right. So what is happening here is, whenever you invoke the as per the rule, what does the rule say? Every class here have a zero parameter constructor, which is by default with them, which is by default with them. So now, what does the rule say? Yeah, what does the rule say? Whenever you invoke any subclass constructor, are you invoking the subclass constructor? Yes. Where? From here. It by default invokes the default constructor of superclass. This is the rule. Now, is B the subclass? Yes. So what will B do? B is also a subclass, so it will invoke the default constructor of its superclass. Now, what will A do? A is also a subclass, it will invoke the default constructor of its superclass. Is there any superclass above java.lang.object now? No. So in that situation, what happens here is it will it will load all the required memory, whatever things are required to be loaded, and it will pass the call down. And now A will update itself, we get whatever values it want in the memory become alive. B will update, get all the values required, get C will update. Are you seeing a chain formation here? Are you able to see something like a chain formation happening here? So this concept is also called as constructor chaining. This is also called as what? Constructor chain. What we do is we simply chain the constructors and yes, Hari, what properties of superclass comes down to subclass, but superclass need to be alive in the memory, right? That how this is how it triggers. So whenever I call C, C will before executing itself, it will first invoke what B. B will before executing itself will call what A. A will call java.lang.object and then it will come down everywhere. See, so if I now start go and provide a constructor everywhere, if I say here A bracket system.out.println A constructor invoked. Okay. If I do the same thing in B, B constructor invoked. And then if I go to C, and here if I say C constructor system.out.println C constructor invoked. Okay. And now if I go back and do the same thing, see in runner, I'm not going to change a single value. Let the first call to the constructor happen. But you know what it will do? As we have added the print statements, it will first call the constructor. It will show you that constructors are getting called. So you see, A constructor got invoked, B invoked, C invoked, and then it did. So this is happening here, right? When I called C, C initially called what? C called what? C called B, B called A called java.lang.object, and then java.lang.object internally then started passing the call downwards. So A called, B called, C invoked, and then after that the values are printed. Are you understanding how they become alive in the memory? Very interesting and important rule. I hope this is clear to everyone. This is my thumb rule one under inheritance. So this is my class A. This is my class B. This is my class C, and this is my runner. Okay, can we do this practically quickly? Yeah, let me know once you're done with this. Okay, is this done? Can we proceed? So you created the four classes now, right? A, B, C, and runner. So you got how the constructor chaining is happening. Is this concept clear? Very important concept. Huh? This is very important concept. How it works. I hope this is clear for you all. Okay. Now, what should happen? There is another concept called as method overriding. When a subclass and a superclass have method with the same signature, we say that subclass have overridden the superclass method. Yeah, we say the subclass have overridden the superclass method. For example, I have class animal, yeah, which has a eat method, and then I have elephant extends animal. It has an eat method. So now what is happening? When you extend, yeah, when you extend, see this is important that what will happen here when subclass and superclass have method with the same signature. So what we were doing till now was a different scenario. So here I do say what okay. In inheritance itself I write a file, let's say animal.java, and animal have a method called as eat, and let me write it here like system.out.println eat of animal. At the same time I create another file, let me call it as elephant.java, and elephant is extending what? Animal, sorry, it extends animal, and then here I have a method public void sleep, system.out.println sleep of animal, and on other hand we have got public void eat, system.out.println eat of elephant. And then I have got erunner, let's say, dot java, and here I write my main method. Inside my main I say elephant is equal to new elephant, and here I do e dot eat and e dot sleep. Now you tell me, as per the inheritance scenario, elephant have how many eats? It has its own eat plus it is getting one more eat from its superclass, right? Can you see the method here? Is it exactly same like the method here? Only thing is the structure is same, right? Internal body can be different. Are you understanding the problem? When subclass and superclass have method with the same signature, and when it is invoked using the subclass object, what do you think so will happen? Yeah, what do you think so will happen? When subclass and superclass have method with the same signature, and I call the method using the subclass object, which method will be invoked? Will it invoke the elephant wala method or animal wala method? What do you think so? What will it invoke? Will it invoke the elephant method or the animal method? Anyone? Are you understanding the issue I am putting up here? That we have animal, we have, see, it will be more visible here. I have got class animal. I also have got, see, I have got class animal. I have got elephant. Both of them have the eat method. And now I am creating the object of what? I am creating the object of elephant and I am trying to call it there. So in that situation, what does it say? See, if I try to invoke, let's see the output now. If I say Java C E runner and Java space E runner, see, it is calling the eat of elephant, but sleep of okay, it should also be sleep of elephant. Okay, but let's say I also have another method here, and just to show you that it is not breathe of enemy. So if I go here and I say e dot breathe, so this breathe is actually coming from where? Breathe is coming from the superclass. This concept is what we call as method overriding. When subclass and the superclass have the method with the same signature, and we invoke the method using the subclass object, it always invokes the subclass method. Remember this, it always invokes the subclass method. So this is my animal, then this is the elephant, and then this is my e-runner class. Can we try this out quickly? Yeah, are we done? Are we done, everyone? Can we proceed? Okay. Now, so moving ahead, see, this is what we understood. When subclass overrides the superclass methods, and that if that method is invoked using the subclass object, always the subclass method will be invoked. This is what we understood, because the class super animal also had a eat method, and the elephant also had the eat method. So when I call using the subclass object, always the subclass method will be invoked. Are we clear on this? Yes. Now what if I want to call the superclass method? So this time I will take you back. I will take you back, and so before we jump into that, let's see there is a view. Can we override a static method? No, static method cannot be overridden, because they does not belong to your objects, right? They belong to your classes. So we normally don't override the static methods. Now, here, good question by the way, Sanchit. Can we override a static method? Super. Now, okay, super refers to the immediate superclass. See, the way we address our fathers, right? We don't call them by their names. We call them using a pronoun like papa, daddy, and so on, right? Same way, in Java, a subclass will never invoke, it will call the superclass using their name directly. There is a keyword. What is that keyword? Keyword is called as super. Super refers to the immediate superclass. Super refers to the immediate superclass. Okay. Super keyword can be used for accessing what? Variables in the superclass, methods in the superclass, and constructor in the superclass. Yeah, they can be invoked for connecting what? Methods, variables, and constructor in the superclass. How? Let's see that. We'll create a new folder called as super keyword. Under super keyword, let us create a file. Let us create a file. What is the file we can create here? I want to use a very simple example saying superclass and a subclass. So let's say car and Honda City. So I have car.java, Honda City.java, no package here, no package here, and Honda City extends car. Now in car, let's say I have a variable int default mileage, or let's say int minimum mileage is, let's say, 10. This has to be the default mileage they need to achieve. Okay. Then I have a method public void run. Run method of car. Okay, I have got run method of car and car. Let's come to the constructor in some time. Now I go to Honda City. In Honda City, what I want to do is I have my method, let's say public void Just give me 1 minute. Okay. So what I do here, let's say public void. Okay, public void run method, and here what I do, int minimum mileage on Honda City is, let's say, 15, and here I want to print the minimum mileage. So which minimum mileage will it print? What is the minimum mileage it will always print? Will it print the 10 or will it print 15? Will it print 10 or will it print 15 when I run this here? So if I create Honda City, HC is equal to new Honda City, and if I see HC dot run, okay, HC dot run. See, it will print 15. Just give me 1 more minute. Sorry, some office messages. Okay, sorry. So here you see it is printing what, 15, right? But what if here I want to print the mileage from the super class from here, right? I want to print it from here. What? How can that happen now? So to do that, I will have to make use of the super keyword. So what will I do? If I want to print here, I can say super dot. Now super is a keyword, so it will print. Now if I go back and if I compile, see it's printing 10 now. Yeah, it is printing 10. So it is super dot minimum mileage if I want to access this. And what if when I call the run method, I want to first invoke the run method of my super class? I want to invoke the run method of my super class. In that situation, I will say what? Super dot run. Yeah, I will say super dot run. So now if I compile this again, you can see first the run method of the car is invoked and then the 10 is called. Yeah, then the 10 is called. Are you understanding how I dealt with the super here? How I dealt with the super? Now, another thing is, let's say your car have a constructor. Okay. System.out.println car constructor with x is parameter invoked. Okay. Car constructor is invoked. If I go back here and now if I compile, I have added a default constructor. I have added a default constructor. Now you see, I added a parameterized constructor in my class car. How is it affecting? See this. As per rule, what was happening? As per rule, what was happening? I had my class Honda City. I had my class of Honda City.java, right? Honda City was extending what? Car.java. Now, by default, both of them did not have any constructor, right? Did they have any constructor? They have a run method. They also have a run method. Now, by default, did we provide any constructor to them? Earlier, was there any constructor provided? Was there any constructor provided? Yes, no, maybe something. In the earlier case, there was no constructor. So what was happening by default here is we had the zero constructor here, default constructor here. We had a default constructor here. We had a default constructor here. So the constructor chaining was happening very easily, right? You call Honda City constructor call the car constructor. But you know what happened now? After this point, I changed the constructor in my superclass to have a single parameter. And now what is happening? And whenever any subclass constructor is invoked, it by default invokes whom? It by default invokes the default constructor, right? It should by default invoke the default constructor. But is there any default constructor left in my superclass? Is there any default constructor left in my superclass? Do I have any constructor with zero parameter here? Is there any constructor with zero parameter in class car right now? Is there any constructor with zero parameter in class car right now? No, right? Are you all getting this? Can I get a quick update in the chat? Because only Prakash is talking to me. How about others? Are we getting this? Are you understanding the problem statement we are facing? Yes. Hey, hi Hamza. So he is your alumni actually. Thank you. Thanks a lot for your kind words. Okay. So now what we need to do here is we do not have any superclass constructor. What we are going to do is quickly we have to call it explicitly. Now you see the rule here. The rule says what? Whenever any subclass constructor is invoked, it by default invokes the default constructor of its superclass unless except. Now this is the last part. Unless except the parameterized constructor is explicitly invoked. Yeah. So what do we mean here when we say parameterized constructor can be explicitly invoked? If we will go and call using the super keyword. This is what that means. We have to call that constructor using the super keyword. So the rule now is going to be is if the chain is breaking from my subclass constructor, I will simply say super, because it's a constructor. I cannot call it from some method. It has to be called from a function. Sorry, it has to be called from a subclass constructor. And let's say I call the class as black. So this is how we work upon it. So here, what will I do to complete this chaining? I will have to introduce one constructor here, which is what, Honda City, to complete this chaining. And the first, let's say, system.out.println Honda City invoked. But because the chain is broken right now, I have to call the first line of my code has to be what, super. And when we say super, we do not need to specify the name of the class, because it knows that I'm calling the constructor because of the bracket, and then I pass black. Black is what, the name of the color I want to pass it on my to my class. And now you can see, if I compile, it will compile fine. Java space super runner, enter, and you can see car with the parameter invoked, Honda City is invoked, then the run method is being called. Getting this what I did here? So how about I'll just pass it on this to your. This is about super keyword. Yeah, I have added the code in the chat. Yeah, yes, just complete this part and we'll take a break. So Hamza, who put in the message, is one of your alumni from BCA. He runs his own company in Australia now. So he has worked really hard, and he's been able to run a digital marketing and development company in Australia. So are you getting, inheritance has a lot of things to it, right? You must have been able to understand this now. Inheritance in Java is not very small. It is quite big, and it has a lot of things going on with it. And we are not done yet. We have two, three more concepts still remaining to complete when it comes to inheritance. Inheritance, but you understand inheritance, your life in Java will be very easy. Yeah, your Java life will be very easy. Okay. Okay. So how about we take a 5-10 minutes break and then continue. Even I need to uh, make one call. So yeah. Yes, sure, Hamza will meet you and great. So I'll put up a 10 minutes timer and let's connect back in 10 minutes. Don't drop. You can just leave your screens open and if you're attending from obviously from your uh, laptops. Yeah, I'll put up a 15. Okay, I've put up a 15 minutes timer. Let it be on here and continue with your work. Hey, am I audible now? Okay. Am I audible now? Hello, am I audible? Okay. So here, what we are going to do is we are going to learn about a rule. This rule is called as what? Object of a superclass can be made to point at its subclass instance. Yeah. Object of a superclass can be made to point at its subclass instance. Now, what does this rule mean? That here, who is the superclass? Animal. Who is the subclass? Elephant. So normally what we do, animal A is equal to new animal or elephant E is equal to new elephant. But what we are doing here is we are saying animal A is equal to new elephant. For this to happen, the left side has to be a superclass, right side has to be a subclass. Only then it is possible. Now consider you are building an application for a veterinary hospital. Consider you are building an application for a veterinary hospital. So in that veterinary hospital, you are going to treat, right? So are you only going to treat dog and cat, or do you treat all the animals? In a veterinary hospital, do you treat all the animals or only do you treat cats and dogs? You treat all the animals. But animal is an abstraction, right? It's a superclass. So what we do is, as per the rule, I can simply say, now let us understand what actually happened when we do animal A is equal to new elephant. Animal A is equal to new elephant. As per the rule, what is happening? Animal had two methods, right? Which one was that? Eat and breathe, which was pointing. See, when I say animal A is equal to new elephant, what exactly happening here is I have my animal object, which looks like this, which has eat method and which has breathe method. Which is equal to the elephant object, which contains what? It has overridden the eat method. It has added a sleep method, and it has not overridden the breathe method. So what will happen here? When object of a superclass point at its subclass instance, it can invoke all those methods which are given to itself plus the overridden one. So what all it can access? It can access both the eats and it can access the breathe method. And here the sleep method goes under the slicing. It is called as method slicing. Yeah, this method is basically sliced for us. We will not be able to access it. Let's see what happens here. And now again, when object of a superclass point at its subclass instance and it invokes the overridden method, always the subclass method will be invoked. Why? As per the overriding rule, always the subclass method will be invoked because that is what I want here. So if you see, if I go back to animal and e-runner here, and in other situation I'll say after superclass points to subclass, or in simple terms, after I do animal A is equal to animal A is equal to new elephant. So what I do, I'll say animal A is equal to new elephant, and then I say A dot eat. A dot breathe will call obviously the superclass method. A dot eat. I will be able to access that, but I will not be able to access A dot sleep. Why? Because it is out of bound now. And now I say what, Java C, Java C E runner, and Java space E runner. So after I do this, see, when I call the breathe method, it is calling the breathe of elephant. But when I call A dot eat, it is calling the eat of elephant. It is using the overriding rule here. So I am updating my E runner method here. That's the only thing I need to update, nothing else. For this is my animal A is equal to new elephant thing. Remember this rule, very, very, very important. This part is very important. Yeah. How I updated in my, so I just update your E runner. Just update your E runner. And see whether this is working for you or not. Yeah, let me know once this part is done for you. Okay, this part is done. Have you completed? If you can reply back now, it will be much better. So I know whether should I wait or should I go ahead. Only two of them, Hari and Prakash, keeps on responding. At least use something from chat box. Like if you're done, done. I'll know and I can go ahead. So we've made the changes here. So when an object of a superclass point at its subclass instance, it access only the overridden method. Other methods are sliced. You understood this, right? You understood this part because this is important. This rule is very important. This rule will allow you to do a lot of stuff going ahead in your development as well. Because when a superclass pointing to its subclass instance invoke the overridden method, always the subclass version is invoked. Why? Because see, just to show you this scenario properly, let us do what? Create this. This is actually your thumb rule 2 as well. This is your thumb rule 2. And I want to also talk about the rule of generalization. So if I shift my animal.java into thumb rule 2, then I move my elephant and e-runner into thumb rule 2, it will help us. So this is thumb rule 2. Let us go to animal.java and so I will e-runner, right? So I'll move on to tr2 and oh, the folder name became so I will say java c e-runner dot java and java space e-runner. Now I want to show you the actual working what I was talking about. Let's say there are two more animals. Okay, let's say there are two more animals. I create a class for dog dot java and dog is going to extend animal, and here I want to override the method system.out.println eat of dog method. Okay, and then they have a specific method. Let's call it as public void bark, and here I do what system.out.println bark of dog. So I had this one. Also, I wanted to add cat.java. So in my cat.java, what I do again, I want to extend its animal. In fact, if you extend something, Java will also allow you to override the method what you want. So I say let's override the eat method. But when you override, it will put up an annotation. This what is annotation is all about? We'll talk about it later. So I have the eat method, and here I do what system.out.println eat of cat. Okay, eat of cat. So next, what we need to do is save this, and because this is cat, I add extra method public void meow. Okay, and let's say system.out.println meow of cat. So if you see the hierarchy, how does the hierarchy looks like now? See, I have got animal as my superclass, which has three subclasses. What are those? Elephant, dog, and cat. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create a vet clinic as my class, and here I have a treat method. Now in the treat method, see, if I create the treat method specific for an elephant, I'll have to write elephant E. For dog, I'll have to create one more treat method and say dog D. But I don't want to do that. I want to create a rule of generalization. So rather than that, I'll say I'll pass on for animal A. And once I have for animal A, any object which is a subclass of animal will be able to log in there. So what I do now, in the tr2, I create a new file. Let me call it as vet clinic. dot Java, and inside my veterinary clinic, what I do is public void treat. Treat what? I want to treat an animal, and let's say system.out.println checking animals eat procedure. Because all of them have overridden the eat method, I will say animal dot eat system.out.println checkup done. Just a process I am showing. Okay, so treat function. Then I do what? Create a vet runner dot Java file. Under my vet runner, I say what? Main method. And inside this main method, I will simply just say, see, there are two, three ways. I'll show you all of them. I have a vet clinic. So clinic will be only one object, right? I have a clinic. Clinic is equal to new veterinary clinic. Then I can treat all of those animals. So first way, I'll show you three different ways I can make this call. First, I can say animal A is equal to, or animal elephant is equal to new animal. Sorry, new elephant, object of superclass pointing at its subclass instance. Okay. Clinic dot treat, and I pass elephant. Then I say dog, D is equal to new dog, or dog is equal to new dog. Then I say clinic dot treat, and I pass the dog. Yeah. And third is what? Clinic dot treat, and here I straight away pass the object of, let's say, cat. These are three different ways I can pass on the data. Yeah. And if you see the output here now, see, I was able to call the elephant as well. Dog was also done and cat was also done. These are three different ways. When you deal with the rule of generalization, it will happen. What are these? I have got, see, I have only had one clinic, but the clinic, like when object of a superclass point to the subclass instance, I can pass this object. When I have the whole object with myself, I can pass that object as well. And when I have the treat function, I can call this one as well. So very simple to understand. So this is all about my thumb rule 2. I will pass on all the data to you one by one. You take 5 minutes, but complete this properly, please. So let's reconnect with this. This is my thumb rule 2. First, I create animal. Then I create elephant. Then I create dog. Then I create cat. Then I create veterinary clinic. And then I create veterinary clinic runner. Okay, this is all about my thumb rule 2. Can we try this out quickly? Are you understanding how we structured this? This is how projects are made. You will not have the single examples what you do now, right? समझ में आ रहा है आप लोग को? Like जब प्रोजेक्ट बनेगा तो एक क्लास नहीं होगा. There will be so many classes. They all will be communicating with each other. You have a store, you have product, you have customers, सबको आपस में connect करना पड़ेगा. Yes, multiple classes and their communication with each other is also very important. I hope you are very much clear on this part. I hope we are very much clear on this part. Yes, everyone. What we have done. So we created multiple classes here, and those classes now got connected with the scenarios. Yeah. So veterinary clinic was one of my scenario. So is this clear to you all how this is working? How this particular part is working? Okay. So the next thing what we are going to talk about is a final keyword. Now final keyword, most of the things you will get an error. Yeah. There is a keyword called as final in Java. There is a keyword called as final in Java, which has what? A variable. You can mark a variable as final. You can mark a method as final. You can mark a class as final, and you can mark an object as final. Now, when we talk about final variable, have you learned about constant in C++, right? Or const in JavaScript? You must have been through constant keywords in JavaScript or C++. So this is nothing but the same thing. Final variable. When you mark something of nature final, it is a convention, like once the value is assigned, it cannot be reassigned. That's what it says. So if I go back, so under inheritance itself, I will write a new keyword. Let's call it as final. And under final, let's say I want to write final variable. So in under final variable.java, as we told, anything which is marked of nature final, it value cannot change. So let's say public void m1. I have a method, and now I want to do what? I have final int max. It is a convention that whenever a value is assigned as final, you should write it in uppercase, completely uppercase. This is one of the convention. So what will happen is you will be aware that this variable max is of nature final, should not be modified. Yeah, that is the reason you write it in uppercase. So I say, let's say max is 100. Now what all things you can do with max? Let's see that. If you say int x is equal to max plus 100, so you can use it for different calculation, no problem at all. But any attempt to update the value, so for example max is equal to max minus 9, this will now, this should now result into an error. See, see, cannot assign a value to the final variable max. Getting this? Yeah, getting this? Can we try this out quickly? This is the final variable. I guess someone has selected this variable runner. Can you unselect it? Thank you. So if you write this code and compile, see what is the error are you getting? See what is the error you are getting, because there are four things we'll have to Do it one by one. Yeah, are you getting the error? Are we all getting the errors? It cannot be modified, right? Next in line is final method. A method which is marked as final cannot be overridden now. Yeah, if you have a method, you don't want to override that method, what will you do? So here, let's say I have a class a.java. A have a method m1, let's say public void m1 system.out.println a dash m1. Now what do you mean by overriding? Class B will have exact same method, right? Class B will have exact same method with the signature. So I will say b.java class B extends a. Class B extends a. Here I can have public void m2 because it's a different method, no problem at all. System.out.println b dash m2, and I write public void m1 system.out.println b dash m1. Okay, b dash m1. And now I do what? Clear screen. Java C space. First, let me compile a.java. Then we compile Java C b.java. See, it will compile fine, and in fact, the overriding is also happening. Okay, the overriding has also happened. Why? Is this method final? Is my superclass method final? No. So if I have to I want to make sure that no one should override m1. The reason is you have written a method. You want no one else to play with this method anymore. You don't want any subclass to get inherit and override it. You don't want to us to do that. So in that situation, what will you do? You will mark this method as what? Final. You will mark this method as what? Final. And once you mark your method as final, see, I will compile Java C a dot Java C a dot Java again. It's fine. But if I say Java C b dot Java, it will give me an error. It will say m1 in b cannot be overridden because if the method is final. Yeah. So can we try this out? See, this is my class A. So I have this final method. So under my final method, I have class A, and in B I have. So this will obviously this is all going to error, right? This is all going to get generate errors for you, nothing else. Yeah, but try this because these are the errors you should know that will be coming into your way. Does final method inherited? Yes, no, because when the moment yeah, final method will get inherited. That is, yeah, you are asking very good question, Sanchit. final method will get inherited, but you will not be allowed to override it. So for example, if you create an object of b, you will be able to call m1 and m2. So you will be able to access this m1, but only thing you will not be allowed to do is override the m1 and write your own working. Getting this? What do we, when we say overriding, what we are doing, that we had a method, we want things to work in our way, so we override it. Good question. But yes, final method do get inherited. Yeah, let me know once you receive an error here. You should get an error that method m1 in b cannot be overridden as it is marked as final. Once done, please let me know. Okay, can we move ahead? Can we all move ahead? If you are okay, let me know, please. Okay, so the next part is about final class. Now here what you're doing, you're blocking some of the methods. You can mark multiple methods as final, but if you don't want a class to be extended, like you don't want the class to go, can we declare a constructor as final? No, 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 you cannot do that. Anyhow, constructor also cannot be overridden, because for the overriding to happen, the constructor name and the class name have to be same, right? Sanchit, the constructor, what is the rule for constructor? The class name and the constructor names are same. So in your subclass you will not be able to write any constructor methods. You can write method for car, Honda City in Honda City, car in car. Without public void you will not be able to write a function in your subclass, right? So it will never anyhow not be overridden, and you cannot mark your constructor as final. So a class which is marked as final cannot be subclassed anymore. So for example here I have a class, let's say y.java. Okay, and then I have a file z.java, and z extends y. So when it is normal situation, there will be no problem. For example, java c y.java, java c z.java. Why is it trying? So java c y.java, java c z.java, it extends y. Why is it? not able to find it. Because of this package. I'll delete this dot class file and compile it again. So java c y dot java, java c z dot java. Here also it is final. So okay, now it will work fine. You have java c y dot java, java c z dot java, and you can see this is compiled. Both of them have their dot class file generated. But if I go to y now, and if I say public final class y, so if I compile y.java, no problem. But if I compile z.java, see, this time it is saying cannot inherit from final y. Yeah, cannot inherit from final y. So I don't have much of code here to be written. So we have got class y, and then in z.java I have this one. So you can simply just add it up here. Okay. So once you put these two classes, you will see that it is giving you error for extending y. So when you mark a class as final, you cannot have subclasses of the, like, that will be the last class in the lineage. That's it. Okay. And now the last part is about final objects. Now, how do we write final objects? I will show you that, a very simple scenario. This is something, a topic of debate in a lot of scenarios. So let's say I have a class pen, or I have a class, yeah, let's say pen.java. Now pen have ink level. Okay. I want to write setters and getters, and then I want to write, yeah, that's fine. Now I do what? I create pen runner.java. In my pen runner, I write a main method. Okay. Then I do final pen p is equal to new pen. I say p dot set ink level to 45, and then I do system.out.println ink level is equal to plus p dot get ink level. Let's say. And now when I say java c pen runner.java, java space pen runner, see, it is giving me ink level is 45. But is this correct? Because I have marked my object as final, right? And it is allowing me to set the ink level. For example, if I want to change it here, I can say p dot ink level is equal to 95. So here it is saying ink level is equal to 95. Is this correct? Is this the correct behavior according to you? What do you think so? Because I marked it as final, you saw when we mark something as final, it value was not changing, right? It value should not change. But here we are dealing with an object. Here we are doing what? Dealing with an object. The only place the issue will be here is, see, when you create an object, that is fine. So what they say, that you create an object, work with it, we don't have to worry about it. Yeah. They are saying pen p is equal to new pen, right? Pen p is equal to new pen. That means p is pointing to this memory allocation, which has an ink level inside it. Yeah, which has an ink level inside it. Now let's say the object annotation of this is x1a2b. Okay, they say whatever changes you want to do inside this, do, we don't have any problem. Only at any attempt to do what, p is equal to new pen again, because what will happen, it will change the memory allocation now. It will change the memory allocation. So in that situation, this is not allowed when you marked a variable as final. So here, if I go back and if I try to do p is equal to new pen, now see, it will start giving me error. It will say cannot assign a value to the final variable p. So inside the object, do anything you want, but don't try to change the allocation for it. That's what they're saying when it comes to final. So this is about final objects. Can you try this out quickly? So this will result into an error now, right? Yeah, yeah, we are done actually. We are not going to continue more. Like I wanted to cover inheritance today, so that is done. I will be adding this code to GitHub repo so that you can also access it like this way. So I want to initiate the repository. So we have completed till inheritance. So So you can check out. I have given you the link in the chat window for this GitHub repo. I was planning to conduct a session on GitHub. Will you all be interested? Uh, but that is not from your college, but under the corporate training session, what we normally do. So I was planning to do 1.5 hour session on GitHub, how to work, how to like the basic Git commands and all those things. Yeah. So if you have interest, I can actually do that for you. Okay. So you can find the link and quickly let me just also create a Google Meet so I can mark your attendance and we can stop the session. Yeah, just wait until I tell you. So yeah, please join the Google Meet. I have given you the link in the chat window. Please join the Google Meet and I can track your attendance and then we can stop. Everyone joined here, so we can. I guess you all are on Google Meet now. I'll just track your attendance quickly. Still no people joining. Okay. So I guess I have tracked the attendance. Still more people joining. Okay. Anyone remaining for you to join? Anyone remaining? Uh, yeah, we have 33. I guess 33 were the count in our session as well. Yeah, I have got the final. Okay, so that's it. Thank you. Okay, thanks all, and we'll meet tomorrow in the session in classroom. So I'll be coming to college, and we'll start with arrays and other parts. So see you tomorrow. Thank you.